Hey, what's up, YouTube world? This is your favorite author here, Michael Devon, and I'm back with a new video. And today, it is the Jackson 5 versus Motown, the love story that turned sour.
He don't love me no more.
In this video, I will be breaking down the relationship between Jackson 5 and Motown in 6 different phases. 1. The dating phase. 2. The marriage. 3. The honeymoon phase. 4. The power struggle / reality check. The next one will be the divorce, and after that will be the aftermath. So without further ado, let's get right into it. We have the dating phase. You know, the phase when you're getting to know the person you are so infatuated with. You like them, they like you. You both are doing everything you possibly can to impress each other. And this is exactly what Motown and Jackson 5 did for each other. So in the 1960s, Motown, aka Hitsville, USA, immediately established itself as the mecca for new classic black music. Founded by songwriter and producer Berry Gordy, his vision to put black music at the forefront of the pop charts came into fruition. With powerhouse acts such as Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, Smokey Robinson, The Isleys, The Supremes, Tammy Terrell, The Four Tops, Gladys Knight and the Pips, and child protege Little Stevie Wonder. And outside of the music, Motown had a prestige image. Their acts were classically known for their style, class, and pride, and it seemed as Motown had covered all facets of black beauty and soul. But as the 60s were coming to an end, Motown was looking for fresh talent to usher in a new modern sound that focused on more complex funk grooves and lyricism. And this is where the Jackson 5 came in. Although discovering younger, fresher talent was his mission, the last thing he wanted was a children's group.
Well, it was Suzanne the Past that grabbed me one day, and she said, there's a kids group you got to see. They're auditioning in the next room, and we just love them, and you're going to love them. And I said, I don't have time. In fact, I don't like kids group. I don't want kids group. You know, I've got Stevie Wonder, who has a major entourage. He had his mother, he had a tutor, and a chaperone, and a lot of people traveling with him. So I said, no, the last thing I want is a kids group. And so she said, but you want them. I said, I won't. And so she kind of drugged me into the audition room. And when I saw this kid was doing all this stuff, and he was doing a James Brown thing, and he did a twirl and a split. And then she said, you still don't like kids group? And I said, no, I don't. Get my camera. You know, so when they got through, I noticed he was doing his thing. So on the stage, he was one kind of person. You know, he was like this master of what he was doing as a kid.
Was once described as well beyond his years, matched with light feet and backed by the co-leads of his older brother, Jermaine, whose voice was silky and tight for a 13-year-old. Although very raw, they came in with years of performing, choreography, style, and self-taught musicality. Gordy, despite his reservations about signing another child act, he couldn't help but be drawn to Michael's ability to sing like Jackie Wilson and dance like James Brown. And with the global success of the Beatles, Berry Gordy knew a youth-driven pop band was a gold mine. Even before then, the teenagers that were led by Frankie Lyman reached massive success, albeit short-lived. And although the label did find success with Stevie Wonder, they often found it difficult to market a blind boy as a solo act. Stevie's brilliance was recognized from an early age, but audiences could never fully connect with his music as quickly as they had hoped. He wasn't seen as a teen idol or heartthrob, and his music wasn't mature enough for older audiences. Unfortunately, marketing him as the young Ray Charles didn't bode well either. Then there was Michael, cute as a button, light on his feet, and charming. Berry Gordy was sold. Phase 2, the marriage. On March 11th, 1969, the Jackson 5 signed with Berry Gordy and Motown, which felt like a match made in heaven. The big family from Gary, Indiana, gets to rise from poverty, and the big Motown machine gets to broaden its reach to a younger audience. Quickly, they impressed label mates such as Smokey Robinson and Diana Ross, who took them under their wing. In October of that year, they released their first single, I Want You Back, in which they showcased at the Hollywood Palace. And their rise was no slow burn, as it immediately took over the charts, peaking at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The world fell in love with the Jacksons, with their moves, their beautiful natural froze, vibrant colors, and most of all, Michael. Michael possessed the gift that most people had to rub their eyes twice to make sure they were actually watching a child and not a 30-year-old little person. It was the Jacksons and the Motown. No greater bond was formed. Next, the honeymoon phase. The Jackson 5 and Motown's relationship continued to soar with massive hits like ABC, The Love You Saved, I'll Be There, the Christmas album, Never Can Say Goodbye, Maybe Tomorrow, and lesser known hits like Sugar Daddy, Looking Through the Window. They were all over the world, even had their own animated series.
Our fans will come out here by the thousands to dig the trees and hear the concert.
They were superstars amongst superstars. During their time with Motown, they sold over 31 million physical singles. Their meteoric rise was so infectious that other labels and even Motown tried to create the formula with the Osmonds, the Silvers, and the DeBarges in the 80s, who were all compared to the Jacksons one way or another. Next up, the power struggle, the reality check. In 1973, the band released their album, Skywriter, and for the first time in their career, the Jackson 5s found themselves on the outside of the charts looking in, spawning 3 singles, and with Corner of the Sky and Hallelujah Day not cracking the Billboard, and Skywriter peaking at number 25 on the UK charts. The public quickly noticed Michael's changing voice and appearance. He was no longer that cute little boy who danced like James Brown. He was now a teenager with a cracking voice. And this was the beginning of the end. The band grew more verbal about their musical direction as they expressed interest in writing and recording their own material, which Motown said,
"Hell no!"
The same year, they released Get It Together, which peaked at number 28 on the Hot 100 and spawned their bounce-back hit, Dancing Machine, which peaked at number 2. The song itself popularized the robot, the dance move Michael would perform during the song's breakdown. Dancing Machine also hit number 1 on Billboard's Hot Soul singles, and they also spawned the moderately successful single Get It Together. They decided to ride off the success of Dancing Machine as they would release an album of the same name with a single on it as well. Even though the album would sell well, it wasn't the group's main focus as they were constantly performing on their variety show, which Berry Gordy wasn't a fan of. And also, the show and the musical direction left Michael pretty disgruntled on both sides as well. So in 1975, the group released their final album under Motown, Moving Violation. A damn good album, might I add. It's actually one of my favorite albums by the Jackson 5. Although the album failed to spawn any top 25 hits, it still gave us cult classics like Forever Came Today and All I Do Is Think of You. And this is where their marriage began to sour. After quickly becoming the label's highest earning act of all time, they still had to split their money with traveling teachers, lawyers, writers, producers, security, and a plethora of other expenses that were made recoupable for the label. So despite being global superstars and teen idols, they were still cash poor.
Come on, I'm broke, baby. I ain't got no money.
See, back then, it was rarely talked about out of fear of putting the most prominent black music brand in a negative light, but Motown often took part in shady business practices. For example, instead of paying artists in shares or liquid assets, Motown would provide homes and luxury vehicles to its artists. Number 2, instead of the artists taking the majority share of their performance earnings home, the artists were on a fixed weekly allowance, meaning no matter what the booking rate was for a specific performance, Motown was taking the lion's share. So in simpler terms, Motown was really pimping their artist, which was fucked up on all levels because black acts were already being lowballed on every single platform, and then you have the most prominent black-owned music label ripping you off too. See, typically, labels fuck over their artists via masters and publishing. A label can maintain full control over any material recorded under their imprint, which allows them to funnel millions off of radio play, soundtrack placements, commercial placements, song sampling, and covers, while being legally obligated to give the artist pennies for their work. This is why most artists, even still to this day, earn 85% of their income from touring and merchandising. Sadly, Motown found a way to circumvent that. That's why when Taylor Swift decided to re-record her older albums, it had labels in shambles out of the fear of other major artists following suit. This loophole cuts out the middleman, which is the label, especially for artists who write their own music, because legally, an artist is well within their right to re-record the music they have written independently due to intellectual property laws. thus automatically giving them full masters and publishing rights to their newly re-recorded material. And since most black artists back then were financially illiterate and just simply happy with making music, as opposed to living the lives they would have had before getting signed, Berry Gordy was met with very little pushback until artists like David Ruffin, Mary Wells, The Supremes, excluding Diana Ross, go figure, right? Gladys Knight and the Pips, and of course, the Jackson 5. So slyly, like the devil he was, Joe Jackson cut a deal with Epic Records for more creative control behind Berry Gordy's back. He even held a press conference and told the world the news. Too bad I can't find that interview. I really looked all over the internet for even an article, and I couldn't really find much. But apparently this happened because when the word got back quickly, Berry Gordy threatened to sue the band. But Joe really didn't give a fuck, and Berry Gordy went through as promised. Now, imagine suing the band that you're actively fucking over. That is really crazy work. As a result, the Jackson 5 could no longer operate under the given name as it was considered Motown's trademark. The Jacksons and CBS would later countersue Motown and Jermaine, who did remain with Motown, and this also resulted in the Jacksons not being able to earn any royalties from songs recorded before 1979 and paying $100,000 to resolve the breach of contract dispute. Only bright side about this is that they were 100% free from Motown, and due to a loophole, the Jacksons became entitled to any royalties earned from any best of releases, as well as any release of any previously unreleased music. Which is funny enough because after Michael Jackson became the biggest superstar of all time, Motown themselves wanted to milk that train as well, so they started re-releasing a lot of those old songs. As we know, the best of compilations, the greatest hit compilations, they practically released some Michael Jackson and Jackson 5 material every other year around that time.
Remember, we had signed because one of the main reasons, because Epic had promised us 2 to 3 cuts on every album we get to record our own music. That was exciting.
I think I was somewhere around 18 years old when we started working with Gamble & Huff. Then there was a new demographic, a new audience, and we wanted to come up with something that was a little more different to show people that we're still here. The sound has changed a little, but we still have that Jackson feel, that Jackson sound to it.
We thought we was ready to show the world that we can write our own compositions and let them feel music coming from the Jacksons. We thought it was our turn to step in and show the people what we can really do.
After the divorce, we have the aftermath. Now named the Jacksons, signed a lucrative deal with Epic that gave them a 20% royalty rate and more creative control. Now this marriage was more of a slow burn. Although more creative freedom was promised, the reins weren't given to them right away. With their first 2 albums under the Epic umbrella, the Jacksons and Going Places, the brothers would only pen 2 songs from each album. Blues Away and The Style of Life from the Jacksons, both penned by Michael, and A Different Kind of Lady and Do What You Wanna were all collaborative efforts from each brother contributing on their second album under Epic. But it was all good as the legendary songwriting duo Gamble and Huff handled majority of the songwriting. Even though the album sales weren't as good as they hoped, the albums themselves are actually received very well by critics. The Jacksons found themselves back in the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100 with Enjoy Yourself, and in the top 30 with Show You the Way to Go, my personal favorite song by the Jacksons. After their Prove It trial, the label said, "Here damn," and let them boys cook with their first fully self-produced album, except for the song Blame It on the Boogie. The single Shake Your Body gave them another top 10 hit. The brothers continued to ascend with a classic album entitled Triumph, with massive hit singles like Lovely One, This Place Hotel, Can You Feel It? And many of their singles even became bigger in the UK, by the way, if you didn't know. UK seem to know what's up over there. They really love the Jacksons. Actually, I was looking through their charts and they always charted high in UK. Even when their music was quote unquote flopping in the US, the UK was still showing them love. Shout out to the UK. After Michael Jackson's commercial flop, he was so embarrassed and desperate that he crawled back to his brothers and they released Victory, an album that felt more like a loose playlist. Regardless, that album gave us a top 10 hit and a top 10 hit in State of Shock, Torture, which both cracked the top 20 on the Billboard Hot 100, and Body also peaked at number 47. And on the other end, Motown didn't miss a beat, with some of their biggest acts like Stevie Wonder and Marvin Gaye going head-to-head album for album during this era. I mean, honestly, it's kind of mind-blowing side note that these two were releasing brilliant albums back-to-back in the 70s. I wish I was alive during this time, but I get to appreciate it now. But Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder were going crazy. And then Motown also signed prolific musician Rick James, and Lionel Richie and the Commodores came onto the scene. The Temptations were still hitting. So although the divorce was really ugly, it still worked out for both parties in the end. Except if I was Berry Gordy, I'd be punching the air at the fact that I let Michael Jackson walk out the door. Now, I do have my own personal theory as to why Berry Gordy didn't really care much about letting go the Jackson 5. And here it is. When the Jackson 5 were signed, they were this cute little adorable band. I'm talking about Michael Jackson up the front being so adorable and charismatic, little Marlon doing his dance move, Jermaine and Tito on guitar, and then there was Jackie, the older brother, tall, rounded everyone out. So for the first 4 years of their marriage, everything was perfect because they aligned with Berry Gordy's vision. But unfortunately, Michael Jackson hit puberty. He was no longer cute or adorable. He had acne, his voice was cracking, which also made it that much more difficult to curate music for this band who was growing up rapidly. They were too young to sing about more mature themes, but they're also too old for this teeny bop music that they were well known for. And since they were stuck in this weird creative limbo, it was much easier for Berry Gordy to move on from them, as they no longer served their purpose to the label. But despite their messy and complicated relationship, they both set all of that to the side for the Motown 25 special. And once again, they found themselves needing each other. Although the special by itself was a big deal already, Berry Gordy knew this thing would not have been as big without the appearance of the Jackson 5. And this is why Berry Gordy conceded and allowed Michael not only to have his solo spot, but to perform a song that wasn't recorded under the Motown umbrella. A spotlight that Michael definitely needed, as that performance propelled him into mega star status. So that concludes my video. Thanks for watching. I got more heat coming soon. I also want to review the New Edition story, the Bobby Brown story, that weak-ass Whitney Houston biopic. And I also want to redo my review for the Flex Alexander movie. So let me know in the comments which one I should drop next. The one that gets the most votes, that's the one I'll do. Also, I'm an author. I've said it a million times. Buy my books. I'm a little sad. I'm sad. If you love romance novels, check out my romance book, I Want to Be Where You Are. It's based on the story of how I met my wife. It's cute. It's like a 2000s rom-com type of vibe with plenty of drama. It's also cozy, not too messy. You can also check out my poetry collections as well. I have a bunch of them. I'd be so happy if some of you bought my books right now, man. I need to become a bestseller again, or I'm gonna just have to start shaking some ass. I don't know, man. I used to be cool. Famous people used to like me. I used to go viral on TikTok all the time. Now I'm pretty irrelevant. Now I'm rambling. So yeah, like and subscribe. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you. Bye. I'm bad with intros.